Testing. Mic check. Say what needs to be said. Can y'all hear me out there? Let me hear. Put a 2-2 in the chat if you can hear me out there. Put a 2-2 in the chat. Say what needs to be said. Welcome back to another edition of Say What Needs to Be Said. Tuesday Night Vibes. I'm your host, Asante, Mr. Pick Six Samuel, two-time Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler, all-pro record-breaking cornerback, and the last cornerback to intercept 50 interceptions during the 16-game season era. How we doing out there? Can y'all hear me out there in the chat? Am I sounding okay? Am I sounding like my usual self? I had a few technical difficulties coming on here tonight, man. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me out there. How we doing in the chat? How we doing in the chat? Testing. How we doing? Say what needs to be said. I'm your host, Asante, Mr. Pick Six Samuel, two-time Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler, all-pro record-breaking cornerback, and the last cornerback to intercept 50 interceptions during the 16-game season era. How we doing out there? It's Tuesday Night Vibe special edition. Man, I couldn't make it on here last night, but I am here, and I'm ready to rock and roll Tuesday night, man. Training camp is underway, and man, things is getting spicy, man. And to the east, to the west, and north, and the south, everywhere, man. NFL, man. Thursday, football is all the way back. But tonight, man, we're going to talk about Sauce Gardner. We'll talk about Shedeur Sanders, Todd Monken, Deshaun Watson, of course, as well as we're going to talk about, what else we talk about? Kyler Murray, starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Whoa. Now, I'm a little story time at the end of this live stream tonight, last segment of the night. Give you a little story time. But, man, sorry, man, for the wait. Had to get some dinner in me, get some food up in me, some grub. And then I had a few little issues logging on and getting the live stream correct. The cleaning people came today and got the house smelling good, baby. And we are ready to rock and roll. What can I say? How we doing that? Let me see who we all talking about on Twitter. Man, forget all that. Let me get me some. But how we doing out there? Let me know. Yo. But yeah, man, if you haven't seen or don't know, the Patriots and the Colts are currently participating in joint practices. That means we go head to head with competition besides the competition on our team, baby. And it's an exciting time for us because we tired of going against each other. We want to see a different face and some different techniques and some different athletes and things like that. And hey, man, if you seen the clip, Sauce Gardner is seen on the clip getting crossed up by A.J. Brown. I think Sauce is a very average cornerback because of his lack of ability to make plays. But this clip isn't a big deal. That's just my personal opinion. And y'all know how I always felt about Sauce. And until he proves me wrong, I'm going to continue to talk about it because he's a big name player who teams spent a lot of equity on. Let's just say it like that, But could you imagine, just imagine being the coach for the Indianapolis Colts, coaching Sauce Gardner, and having to watch your player you traded 2 first-round picks for look like this. You can do all the coaching in the world, but you can't teach agility and natural ability. Not a big deal. We're just checking it out. Nice route. That is a nice route by A.J. Brown, I must say. Even though it was an 8-yard route, people making it a big deal. But I thought it'd be a good time to talk about Sauce Gardner because he's a high-profile player in the NFL, And one-on-ones with wide receivers and cornerbacks isn't really a fair drill for us cornerbacks. It's really an offensive drill. But it makes us better and it makes us compete to a level that we not normally have to compete to, because we have a pass rush and so on and so forth out there. I like to call one-on-ones 2-on-1, you know what I mean? But Sauce Gardner made it. He is paid. Now the team gave up 2 first-round picks for him, Now it's about how much pride does Sauce Gardner have? How much pride does he have not to let his team down or let his team go down with the worst trade in NFL history? Because we can all get paid and then shut it down and not care. We paid, our dream has come true, Now, it's a different story if he isn't able to be the player that they expect him to be all, trading two first round picks. Now that's a different story. Then all we can say is congratulations to Sauce Gardner. He won the NFL Powerball sweepstakes. He tricked a lot of people. Congratulations. You understand? That's just my opinion of how I feel about Sauce Gardner, Until they prove me wrong. I'm still standing on 10 toes. It's not, I'm not hating against anybody. I don't have no ill will towards anybody, anything. I just say what I see. When everybody, with Sauce Gardner was all world. I'm the one that stood on the paint, stood out there on the paint on 10 toes and said, no, I don't see what y'all see, And I really don't think these teams and scouts, I really don't think they're out there really scouting players. Just think about it. This is a system, man. They have a system and protocol of how teams do certain things. Who's out there really breaking down film and watching players that's been in the NFL for 4 or 5 seasons? When the head coach or GM needs to upgrade at a position, they look at what name is available. That's all they're looking for. The name that everyone is talking about that is a beast on the field at whatever position. Not what that player can produce or how good he actually is. When it comes to Sauce Gardner, I bet the Vikings GM and head coach agree that he's a lockdown cornerback. What a lockdown cornerback is, that is so opinionated. And I mean, he can go from left and right, man. I done heard stories upon stories about lockdown cornerback. You understand? And people are so confused about good cornerback play or great cornerback play. People are just confused. I hear people talking about he has great technique. That makes him a great corner. Oh, man, he pressing the corner, the wide receiver at the line of scrimmage. That makes him a good corner. Not talking about Sauce Gardner, just talking in general. People are so confused about productivity and what is actually needed to be, to help your team, a corner, man. For me, it didn't take me long. It didn't take me longer than his rookie season, when, like I said, he was all world, to see he was overrated, That's one thing if I saw some potential out there and I was getting on him and he had some potential to be good or be well-established cornerback. But I'm just being honest, just come out there and prove me wrong. But I want to know also, what are the expectations for a cornerback a team gave up 2 first-round picks for, What are the expectations? I have a hard time trying to figure that out. Like, what are the expectations giving up 2 first-round picks for a cornerback? I really want to understand. Now, if the coach somehow win the Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, every decision seems like the correct decision. You can't really blame him for anything unless somehow Sauce get benched and he's not a part of the team. He's just on the team and he's not contributing on the field to that Super Bowl run, But what does it take? Now, other than the Super Bowl, a cornerback, if a team trades 2 first-round picks for a cornerback, man, he needs to be a turnover machine. I mean, he needs to have several turnovers in a lot of seasons, not just one season. And he should be running for Defensive Player of the Year, if you ask me. Teams give up 2 first-round picks for quarterbacks. And a quarterback is expected to change the trajectory of the franchise and lead them to the Super Bowl and so on and so forth. But a freaking cornerback? That's a whole different story. How y'all feel about Sauce, man? Any Sauce fans, anybody out there believe in Sauce besides myself? How I feel about it. But, anyone that want to counteract what I say and how I feel about Sauce, more power to him. I'm just calling what I see, man. He made it. Hey, dream come true. I don't know. Lockdown a quarter. Lockdown a quarter of the whole field. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. Hey, but what does lock it down mean? You know what I'm saying? People just say lockdown. What does lock it down actually mean? Is that breaking up the football, intercepting passes? I think that's So opinionated. But whatever. Moving on. Now we're going to talk about Todd Monken and the Cleveland Browns. What's going on out there? You know what I mean? So since we talked before and I criticized, everybody's taking my real about Shedeur Sanders out of context, about me being frustrated about his progress and how he's progressing as a quarterback in this competition. For me, I want to see Shedeur progress to the point where he is the starting quarterback, named the starting quarterback, basically, and won this competition in his coach's eyes. That's what I mean. It's not up to me. I'm not meaning, in my opinion, he's not a progressing. I'm talking about progressing where he's won the job. So Todd Monken addressed the media to explain why Deshaun Watson took more reps from Shedeur during actual practice. And there's a big deal going on, right? And I'm happy to hear. I was happy to hear when Todd Monken addressed the media. I was happy to hear Todd Monken didn't get up there and say and name Deshaun Watson starting quarterback without playing a freaking preseason game or a game period. I was happy to hear that because I was expecting something totally different. I can't lie. So I was happy he didn't get up there and just write Shedeur off and name Deshaun the starting quarterback. That would have been a horrible outcome so soon, But come preseason time, Shedeur needs to play his best freaking football. He needs to play his best freaking football in these preseason games coming up, And I hope the offensive coordinator, Travis Switzer, doesn't already have his mind made up when it comes to this quarterback competition. Because if y'all not reading between the lines and see, the relationship part of things when it comes to these quarterbacks, because, these coaches do have relationships with players. They have a certain relationship with each player, and like I said, I hope what's his name? Travis Switzer. Hope Travis Switzer doesn't already have his mind made up. Because, sometimes they kind of already know which way they're going to go. They kind of I feel like coaches lean towards one way or another before they make a decision, obviously. And, from the way things was going, what we heard, moving Deshaun Watson up to get more reps, it only could tell us that he's leaning towards Deshaun Watson, but hopefully not. Let's check it out.
What was the reason for the change in plans with quarterback?
It really was Shedeur on Saturday took the ones in the walk. So I anticipated him being with the ones. When I walked out, guys grabbed me and said, hey, the last couple days we've been kind of looking at it. Shedeur's got a few more reps with the ones. That's all it was. I wasn't even at the moment. I was like, yeah, sure, we'll flip it, and then next week we'll go the other way. I sure as hell wasn't thinking about coming back in here and telling all you guys that I was going to change my mind, because I really don't have to. And so that's just the way, being the head coach, I can kind of do that. Ultimately, Shedeur's going to go today with the ones, unless on the way out I change my mind, and then he won't. Okay.
Unless I change my mind. Understand what he's saying. Someone told him something, then he changed his mind. Todd Monken is just a spokesman in this competition between quarterbacks. That's it. He's the referee. He's the spokesman. He's waiting for answers from his coordinators to understand what to tell everybody. After hearing him speak on his issue with Deshaun Watson taking reps, Shedeur was supposed to have, it pretty much confirms my last live about the offensive coordinator. Todd Monken is waiting on the offensive coordinator, which is fair. That's fair. He had to disguise it and act like he's going to take the brunt of things, whether it's good or bad, But yeah, that pretty much confirms it. But I'm not going to say Travis Switzer is the sole decision maker. But he's damn near 90. He probably 90% of the decision making when it comes to these quarterbacks in his decision at who he wants to start and run this offense. But since the news came out, Shador got the message, and I seen him, man. He's stepping his game up, and he's whipping that ball left and right. He's playing faster. He's getting the ball out of his hands much faster, and he seems like he's just playing with a lot more urgency than he's done before. He looks like the assignment now. He looks like he understands the assignment now, and he looks like he's out there with a different attitude. I don't know if that's just, time passing, but who wouldn't? As a competitor, when you tell me the person I'm in competition with, you're moving up and up ahead of me for whatever reason, I don't care what it is, that's going to make me get some fire up under my butt. You understand? Like, that's the only way it is. That's the only way it goes as a competitor, But yeah, you could tell Shador was out there with a lot more urgency from the clips we seen. And we don't see everything, But like I said, if I was Shador, I talk about it a lot, man. If I was Shador, I would go out there and I would concentrate on the little things, As a quarterback, you want to give yourself enough time to register what's going on out there. So I would break the huddle and give myself 15 extra seconds to spare on the play clock and, be able to analyze everything. I would do small things like that, I would give myself as much time as possible to process what I need to get done. I would be getting the ball out of my hands faster than usual, The communication would be loud and crisp. But that's what competition is about, bringing the best out of each other. That's what this competition should do for Shador Sanders. I don't know about Deshaun Watson. He's a vet and he's been around. But this is Shador Sanders' first real competition as a quarterback, competing for the number one job. And only the cream of the crop rise to the top. Now, when we talk about this relationship with quarterbacks and the offensive coordinator, this is what I want y'all to understand. Now, if y'all haven't heard or seen, there were rumors floating around that Deshaun Watson already knew he would be getting extra reps before practice. He already knew he would be getting extra reps before practice. That tells me Deshaun Watson has a different relationship with the offensive coordinator compared to Shador Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. Now, in my opinion, that's not good. What makes them have a different relationship? Who knows? But usually, the offensive coordinator has the best relationship with the quarterback that's going to be his starting quarterback, or the quarterback he wants to play. You understand? In the facilities and practice and things like that, you will always see the offensive coordinator and the starting quarterback walking around together, talking about plays, brainstorming, things like that. They have lunch together. They spend ample amount of time together. So I thought that was one thing that was interesting to myself, that Deshaun Watson knew that he would be getting those extra reps. And no one else knew, not even Todd Monken. Todd Monken didn't even find out or know or understand until the last minute. Now this Todd Monken first time as a head coach, and he's in a unique, peculiar situation. You understand? And he's learning how to navigate, the media for the first time as a head coach. And he sees it's not an easy task. And he has to learn how to make sure the team and the coaching staff are all on one page. Right now, they're not. That only could get worse and be a downhill effect from there, Imagine this, right? He can't be talking to Shador, expecting him to be with the ones out there on the field, and then turn around, that not be the case. I'm not saying that happened, but it's possible. You see what I'm saying? Who knows what him and Todd Monken and Shador talked about that day before Shador stepped on the football field. Todd Monken could have been explaining to him what he want him to do at quarterbacks and when you go with the ones and so on and so forth. And then at the last minute, as the head coach, you have to tell the player that you were just explaining those things to that's not the case. Man, that's a hurtful feeling. That shows for me as a player, that shows me my coaches aren't on the same page. My coaches are a little confused about who needs to be where, when, where, and what. Understand? And I'm not sure. I think this is a key point too. Y'all help me out with this one. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Is Todd Monken handling this quarterback competition the correct way? I don't really think he is. I don't think this is the correct way to handle this quarterback competition. Whoever the starting quarterback is, they missed a lot of key reps to help them prepare for the season. A lot of camaraderie with the first stringers, with the first unit. Splitting reps, man, like every quarterback will tell you, splitting reps really messes up your rhythm, so on and so forth. The team needs to feel confident with who they are depending on to go out there and win games for them. The team needs clarity. Who's going to be their quarterback so they can know who to deal with, basically. I'm making a decision a week or two before the regular season can make some players not agree and create bad distractions for the team. Some players can probably hold some resentment. A guy like Jerry Jeudy, you named Shedeur Sanders starting quarterback, you might start seeing resentment from Jerry Jeudy. So Todd Monken should have named the starting quarterback to start training camp and left it up to that starting quarterback to lose the job. I think that was the best way. That would have been the best way to handle this situation. Now you have two quarterbacks out there fighting to the last minute to be the starting quarterback, and who knows who's going to be the quarterback at the end of the day. And I understand. My first two head coaches in the NFL, they ultimately made all the decisions about the starters and the depth chart because it eliminates a lot of confusion and keeps everybody on one page. Bill Belichick and Andy Reid, two hell of a coaches that might go down as the best in history. But it's going to be interesting. I think Todd Monken is going to make a decision. Man, they play this Saturday. Jeez. It's like he's going into this season with a two quarterback rotation. A decision needs to be made ASAP. I didn't even realize the game is so soon, so coming up so soon. Now on the depth chart, he has Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders. That is some funny mess to see right there, man. That is pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Yeah, I understand money talk, and I hear people saying that the owner, Jimmy Haslam, really wants Deshaun Watson out there on the football field. I don't really know if that's the case, man. We'll see. I understand that everyone loves the Manning family, and Jimmy Haslam is one of the people that really is in love with with the Manning family. And you know what comes after that. Arch Manning, the golden boy. So everybody's waiting on that. How we feeling out there, man? Who do you think is going to ultimately win this competition? Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders, man, or is it going to be Deshaun Watson? Deshaun Watson is out there throwing. He's turning the ball over. A lot of turnovers. They're both having a lot of miscommunication errors. They're having procedural penalties and things like that. So a lot of errors going on both sides of the competition when it comes to Shedeur and Deshaun Watson. But ultimately, man, I would put it in Shedeur Sanders' hands and let him build and grow and show me what you did in college. That's what I want to see from him. You understand? Yes. Yeah. Shout out to Cleveland Browns, man. Like I said, I think they're going to be better than a lot of people expect them to be. All right, man. So we got Kyler Murray, man. The Minnesota Vikings. Oh, the Minnesota Vikings. They put themselves in a terrible predicament. Self-sabotaging themselves again. Another team self-sabotaging themselves. Woo. Yeah. What can I say about this team? All right. This is my prediction. Y'all tell me if I'm right, or if you agree with me or you don't. The Minnesota Vikings might, this is a big might. They might win 3 games this season. If that. They might win 3 games this season. Only a few teams I see on the schedule, the Vikings, have a chance to possibly get a victory against. There's only a few teams, and the Jets are one of them. I don't want to say the Falcons because depending on who's the quarterback, so just I have the Jets on there as one. Then it's a long season, so a lot of things can happen. And as we all know, Kyler Murray has been named the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. If you didn't know, yes, he's the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy's NFL career has taken another unexpected turn. The Minnesota Vikings selected him number 10th overall in the 2024 draft, believing he could eventually become the face of their franchise. But after one season as a starter, Minnesota has now decided to hand the job over to Kyler Murray, according to ESPN reporter Adam Schefter. That leaves McCarthy in the unusual position. He is still only 23, remains under contract, and has just 10 NFL starts to his name. But the Vikings have just made it clear that they are willing to look elsewhere at quarterback. What else were you going to look? O'Connell said that Murray has shown enough to really project that we can get the rhythm, the timing, the mastery of the system and this year's system to the place where the Vikings want it to be. That doesn't sound too promising. There's comfort from Kyler in this scheme, O'Connell said via Care 11, Kare 11. He had some really high completion days where he was able to show some really, really good understanding of putting the ball in play, playing with great timing and rhythm. As you continue to look at the body of work really through those 10 days, what jumped out at us? What could be? Man, guy is so confused. He don't know what to do with himself and his team and his quarterback situation. Kevin O'Connell, the head coach for the Minnesota Vikings, man, he really screwed himself. Now, nobody is shocked that Kyler Murray is the starting quarterback. This is no surprise to nobody. If J.J. McCarthy would have beat Kyler Murray out for this starting quarterback job, it was time for Kyler Murray to retire. That's plain and simple. You know what I mean? But, man, I don't know how many times we're going to revisit this, but Kevin O'Connell has set this team back for many years to come by letting Sam Darnold walk. And he decided to draft J.J. McCarthy. This is another quarterback drafted in the first round who is officially a bust. You can officially name J.J. McCarthy a bust. Now, Kevin O'Connell, he can be so nice and, say all the nice things he want about J.J. McCarthy. We're still supporting him. We're going to rally behind him and give him all the tools he needs to be successful in this league and things like that. It's over with. It's over with for J.J. McCarthy. Got to hang it up. It's over with. I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings drafted another quarterback in the first round coming up in this draft. I wouldn't be surprised. They damn near have to draft a quarterback in the first round if they have a first round available. They need to do something. Every coach without a franchise quarterback would love to have that Arch Manning on their team. He's just like the savior before he's even on anybody's team. He's the savior before he saves people's team, right? Because he's looked at as like, if I draft Arch Manning on my team, this saves my job for the next 2-3 years, as long as I'm not out here screwing things up and make Arch Manning look bad. You understand? People, the Manning family are very powerful in the NFL. Once Arch Manning is drafted, they are going to put all the people, everything they can to possibly make him succeed and be the poster boy, poster child of the NFL. So it is. I only could think whoever's around that area to possibly get Arch Manning, they're going to do everything they can to try to get him. And look at that. It's like the people who rank Shador dead last in the quarterback ranking need to find another freaking job. Yes. Shador's out here battling a $200 million quarterback for the starting job. J.J. McCarthy was out here battling a quarterback that's on a veteran's minimum pay. Make that make sense. Nah, I don't know, man. Them people are crazy. They need to find another job, ranking J.J. McCarthy ahead of Shedeur Sanders. That just sounds crazy in itself. You know? Now, everybody's talking about where is J.J. McCarthy going to end up? Who's going to trade for him? I don't see the trade value there. If Shedeur Sanders don't have any trade value, how does J.J. McCarthy have any trade value? The only reason J.J. McCarthy has any trade value is because he was a first rounder. That's just how it goes in the system of being in the NFL. If you're a first round pick, second round pick, your grades and the things that they have on you on these charts and in these rooms, it says that we can trade for you. You know, if a team trades for J.J. McCarthy and not trade for Shedeur's system, this system is all the way jacked up. I'm telling you, boy, this system is jacked up to the freaking maximum. That wouldn't make no sense. How y'all feeling out there, man? What is going to happen with Shedeur Sanders? Is he going to be named the starter? Is Todd Monken going to name the starter this Thursday or Friday? He has to do it sooner rather than later. What is he waiting on? He's hurting his team. This is crazy. This is ludicrous. But coming up next, man, we got a little story time for y'all. I want to give y'all a little story time about what I've experienced and playing in the NFL and since got a little fighting going on, and what is training camp without some fighting and teams, offense and defense going at it. Very competitive. It's hot. People tired. That's what we do when we get out there and compete. We like to fight because that's what football is about. Control fighting, man. We got Max Crosby. I'm going to go start the story with Max Crosby beating up on Kirk Cousins, man. He beating up on his old man quarterback. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. So here we are, man. If you ain't heard about the story, like I said, Max Crosby up around there beating up on Kirk Cousins in practice during training camp when it's hot, you're tired, and you need some water. It says, Cousins and Crosby got into a heated altercation Friday. The 5-time Pro Bowler hit Cousins twice during the team period. When Crosby hits Cousins' arm a second time, the 15-year veteran had enough. Cousins got into Crosby's face, grabbing the edge rusher's jersey, while both exchanged words before it was broken up. Yeah. Yeah, man. I just know, man, for a pocket passing non-mobile quarterback to get in a physical altercation with the defensive lineman, he had to really be super pissed off and frustrated. I expect quarterbacks like Cam Newton, maybe Josh Allen. I expect those type of quarterbacks with that behavior, getting each other, the players' faces in the defensive face, and grabbing face masks, and just getting down and dirty. But a guy like Kirk Cousins, I wouldn't expect that from him. But I want to tell y'all the story. So let me tell y'all the story. Right? Let me get to this story. I want to tell y'all the story when I experienced an ex-player turned coach and a player about to fight. Man, this was a juicy one right here. Lord have mercy. I think the Lord came down and protected everyone from this fight. Two linebackers known for playing vicious football and a reputation for zero tolerance. Zero tolerance for disrespects, right? Zero tolerance for disrespect. There are a few players on every team you just don't want to mess with. Just don't want to mess with. Right? Then you got Pepper Johnson. Whew. Pepper Johnson. He was one of the backers alongside of Lawrence Taylor in the heydays of the New York Giants when they went to the Super Bowl and things like that. And, they got a bunch of crazy stories of things they used to do and how they used to carry on. But let me tell you, Pepper Johnson, I know personally, he didn't play the radio, you know. Then you got Junior Seau, R.I.P. Buddy. That's what we call him, R.I.P. Junior Seau. You know what I mean? This is Buddy. Junior Seau. If you never heard of him, he was a legendary linebacker for the San Diego Chargers back in the day. You know, so as you can see, both men are huge. They were both 250 pounds, you know. And I couldn't believe what was about to happen. I couldn't believe what was about to happen, y'all. You know, what was so unique about the situation? Junior Seau was the same age as his coach back then, Pepper Johnson. I'm not exactly sure about the age, but they was around the same age. So I think Junior Seau always felt a certain way about his coach. His coach being able to tell him what to do, and he's around the same age, you know. So this was in my New England days. You know, it started with Junior Seau not really doing what he was supposed to do in practice. He was just going through things, and I don't know. I don't know what to say. He just wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. So Pepper Johnson, the coach, Coach Pep, that's what we call him. He was responsible for Junior Seau, of course. Coach Pep, you know, he asked Junior Seau to do something. Like I said, Junior Seau wasn't feeling things at this particular time. So Junior Seau, he ignored his coach, Coach Pepper Johnson. And the disrespect was felt from both ends. Because Pepper Johnson, he's not going to just tolerate you not responding or ignoring him, you know, or ignoring him. And you could hear and see both sides getting heated and getting into it with each other. You know, the talking started to get more and more aggressive, louder and louder. And you see Seau walk over to Coach Pep and whisper something in his ear. And all you seen was both of them, Coach Pep and Junior Seau. They started walking to the middle of nowhere. It was like a bunch of woods out there. Both of them. They agreed to walk in the middle of nowhere. This was during the middle of practice. I lie to you not. Like I said, I couldn't believe it. They were actually about to go have a head-up fade during practice in the middle of the woods. They agreed upon this fight too. They agreed to it. Now, my young crazy self, right? I started finding people to bet. I wanted to place a bet. Who gonna win? You know, have a little fun with this thing, you know. But we was following them as they was walking to the woods, you know. And then, you know, as we was betting, we started, you know, saying why we was going to bet with Coach Pep or with Junior Seau. We was like, Seau is more in shape. He probably fight longer if the fight lasts long, you know. And then it was like Coach Pep, he's powerful and strong. He probably can outmuscle Junior Seau if they grab each other and things like that. You know, Junior Seau, his background is crazy, you know, so he's been through a lot. He walks around barefoot. I don't know. You can't really take anything away from Junior Seau. Junior Seau wrestle, probably throw hands and all that. You know, all this was going on while we was walking to the fight. We were trying to bet. You know, we placing bets. We having discussions about who gonna win the fight and so on and so forth. You know, and the other coaches hadn't recognized for some reason what was going on yet, because I guess they hadn't experienced anything like this at this point. You know, it was about 50 yards away from that wooded area in the middle of nowhere where it was about to go down. Then out of nowhere, somebody must have made coach aware of what was going on. Then you heard the coach screaming and started yelling, you know, and running out there, go grab him, this and that, and broke it up. But man, that was nothing but God. That was going to be a very terrible situation. Those two big guys going at it, head up. That was going to be a situation right there, man. But I experienced playing with some players that didn't play the radio, older guys that just didn't tolerate a lot of things. Yeah, usually linebackers. Linebackers are probably the most craziest people on every team. And then you got free safeties. Linebackers by far, boy. Woo, linebackers, you find 2-3 linebackers crazy on every team. Then you got the free safeties. It's usually the people who are smaller and they got to do the most hitting. That who are the people that really don't care the most, you know what I mean? So how we doing out there? Tuesday Night Vibes, like I said, we missed out yesterday, man, and I came on late, had a few technical difficulties, had to get some food in me, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, I want to see Sauce Gardner step up this season. I want him to shut me up. I talk smack, and I'm challenging people to shut me up so I can come on here and look like a fool and I can apologize, because I apologize to each and every person I ever said something very critical to. So, hey, man, it is what it is. You play in the NFL, the world's most popular sport. We all gonna have something to say, especially when you're a high-profile player like Sauce Gardner. You understand what I'm saying? But it was Tuesday Night Vibes, man, and like I said, I always have fun rocking with y'all. And yeah, man, we got everything together. They said everything sounds great. I'm back to rolling, man, and it is football season. And once again, if y'all don't know what my predictions are, I'm going to make it loud and proud, because I don't want to get in the middle of the season and look like I'm on the bandwagon, because I know what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? So if you don't know, let me see how many people know who I got going to the Super Bowl in the chat. If y'all been rocking with me, who did I say is going to the Super Bowl, the 2027 Super Bowl, NFL Super Bowl this year? Y'all got 10 seconds before I get up out of here. Y'all, I want to know who y'all could guess. Go Pats. Go Pats. Pats versus who, baby? What's my predictions? Go Pats. Yes, sir. I got the Pats going to the Super Bowl. I want to see if anybody could guess who they're going to be playing against in the Super Bowl. Or what is y'all predictions? You know what I mean? No, they say who that? They say who they going to the Super Bowl. I don't know. Now the Saints, they are looking pretty good and they are looking promising. But I got the Pats versus the Seahawks. I got the repeat and the rematch going on, man. I got Drake May probably winning the NFL MVP award. I like Drake May probably throwing for over 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. Yeah, man, that's my predictions. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah, I got all the answers, man, because I do my homework. You understand? I don't just talk just to talk. That's the difference with say what needs to be said in these other people. I do my homework, you know? And then when I'm wrong, if I don't know what I'm talking about, I just shut up. That's how you can be right all the time. If you don't know what you're talking about, you just shut up. That's how I go, man. So salute to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all joining on tonight. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, man. And I'll see y'all Thursday night. These games coming on. It's your boy, Mr. Pick Six, and